Hey everybody, welcome back to the 6 round post-fight show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-host, as always, Eddie Mercado.
Hey.
Coming we're coming to y'all from a straight banger of a pay-per-view card, UFC 317.
Wow.
And, I was even going in, I was like, oh, I forgot this was UFC. I forgot this was International Fight Week. Because I saw the ad for it. I'm like, it used to be when International Fight Week came around, they put on 3 events in 1 week and a huge expo. And the pay-per-view on that event would have 3 title fights and former champions all the way down into the prelims. Like,
Yeah.
it would be the most stacked thing you'd ever seen. And this was not that. This was a good card going in, but
yeah,
it was just another pay-per-view card in my mind until I saw the International Fight Week thing with Adesanya reading his book report over it.
Yeah, what the fuck was that about? His book report.
I know what quality looks like. These fighters are very talented. This is the time for UFC. It's like, come on, man.
Well, if he's not fighting anymore, he's got to get work somehow.
It's true. It's true. But that said, God, by the end of this, it felt like it might be the card of the year for the UFC.
No, it was a banger.
Yeah.
The pay-per-view delivered. I was really excited going in, even if there was some newer talent, we'll say, on the undercard. I was still excited for those matchups, like Felipe and Peyton.
Oh,
I was so amped for that. Just a lot of really good fights that I felt were well booked.
Yeah, and I mean, goddamn, we'll talk about it more later. But Joshua Van stepping up on 3 weeks to fight Brandon Royval.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where I was like, I don't know that he can make that fight happen. I don't know that he can win that fight because it's such a huge ask to turn around like that. And Royval, whatever you might think of him as like a championship level style, is very clearly an incredibly durable, incredibly tough, high volume, knows the meta, knows how to win rounds, knows how to win fights fighter. But I was so pumped to actually watch that fight. Mm-hmm. And then for it to deliver the way it did, for it to be the absolute fight of the year contender war that it was, man.
I don't think a single takedown was attempted in that
movie. No.
Pure banger.
From these two he-men, these two hairy-chested, booming-voiced pictures of virile masculinity, takedowns, never.
No, that was man. Great night. I'm
great.
It looked good on paper, and it fucking delivered.
I gotta say though, one small complaint.
Oh, here we go.
Who would I be without one small complaint? Come on. Rogan and DC were awful tonight. It was.
Oh, were they? Well, I may or may not have been watching the main card on this Russian.
Yeah, you
they were fantastic. I don't know what they were.
Yeah. Roganov and Korminsky. Yeah, they were great. But Joe Rogan fucking blew the Ilya Topuria knockout call so bad.
I didn't even hear it. How'd it go?
He was standing there. Oliveira's walking in on Topuria, and he's saying, yeah, I don't know if Topuria is ready for this. I mean, Oliveira can just sit there and he can take his shots and walk him down like it's nothing. And just like in the middle of that, Oliveira gets knocked out cold, and he's still like finishing his sentence while everybody else is doing the like screaming, oh my God thing. And it's just like, God, it is. You are halfway through round 1. You have no basis to be talking like that about this fight. None. You don't know. Like, This fight has not been standing. The punches have not been traded for you to know that right then. And for you to just be like talking out your ass about that in the moment to blow that call, it was, yeah. And then, of course, too, other shit like Rogan talk about how Pantoja was gassing horribly in the second round, and only for Pantoja to basically just come out absolutely 1,000% in round 3 and wreck Kai Kara France. It's just like it was an amazing night of fights with one of the worst booth performances the UFC has ever put together.
Well, maybe they'll hire those Russian guys who were killing it. They were killing it.
Yeah, they were killing it.
Allegedly, I was on this stream. I'm not saying I really was. This is all.
No, this is all jest. These are jokes, people. This is for entertainment purposes only. Nobody should try finding a Russian stream of a UFC pay-per-view at home. We would never advocate.
But it's not only the Russian, it's the Israeli stream, the Abu Dhabi stream. Just in case one might go down, you gotta keep your bases covered.
All right. So let's actually get into it, though, and talk about Topuria Oliveira.
Mm-hmm.
Loved this fight. Loved this performance from Topuria. He looked so damn good. And the thing is, there are fights I want to see more for Topuria at lightweight. Pimblett, Tsarukyan, Makhachev.
Gaethje,
Makhachev maybe at some point. But
probably not Islam. I think he only has like 2 fights left.
Yeah, well, a man can dream. Okay, I'm sorry. But this was the right fight to introduce Topuria to lightweight, because Charles Oliveira is such a balls out scrapper, grappler, contact fighter that he was going to make Ilia Topuria's debut a firefight no matter what.
Yeah.
And that was going to be a thriller.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say that of Tsarukyan, or you could probably say it of Pimblett, but having Pimblett in a title fight against Topuria for the vacant belt would have been
Gaethje would have been good too.
Yeah. But I think this Charles Oliveira fight, like, I had to pick Topuria going in, because one of the key things that has lost Charles Oliveira many of his fights that he has dropped over the years are fighters who are fearless enough to just go to the ground with him and not be scared of his ground game and not be scared of striking with him because they might get taken down. It's like, okay, I know Topuria is that. Mm-hmm. I know he's not going to be afraid of tangling with Oliveira anywhere. And then he's got a huge power and technique edge. So you have to pick him. You just... Yeah.
No brainer. And everybody, I mean, I feel like the only people who didn't pick him were like just stans of Charles, which I guess we all are, but people, I guess they weren't sold on Topuria. They were like, he's small. Like I was talking to one of my teammates earlier today, and he was like, "Oh, Charles is going to take this, no doubt." And I was like, "I don't know, man." He's like, "Oh, Charles is too big for him." And I was like, "Nah, you go down to grapple, you come up to strike. Topuria is going to be so fast. He's going to be one of the fastest guys that Charles has fought in a long time."
Yeah.
And what's that?
I was saying, I mean, you can debate the quality of the win if you want, but Arman Tsarukyan is no taller than Ilia Topuria. Like, they're the same size dude in terms of height and reach.
Very different, though.
I mean, they're different in like the bigness of the back and the torso,
but even just style. Sure,
but I'm just saying that, like, the idea that Charles Oliveira is just too big a lightweight for people to compete with. He was this is a dude who cut down to featherweight too. He was terrible at cutting that weight, but
sure,
like
he's still struggling to make 55.
Yeah,
but I was like, when Dustin Poirier moved up from 45, he had so much success. Yeah. Like the jump up really catered to his style.
Mm-hmm.
great everywhere. But if you're predominantly, your MO is to come out and strike and you're moving up, you're going to have that speed advantage and carry that power, like still have that sting going up to 55. I mean, I love Charles to death, but I didn't see it.
Yeah. It was interesting too. One of these things I saw, somebody mentioned to me in my live chat that I do over my Substack, Zane Simon at Substack, just so you know. But somebody was like mentioning, Luke Thomas or somebody brought it up that Charles Oliveira actually gets hit less often than Ilia Topuria. And I was like, that can't be right. That's a bullshit stat. And technically, he does actually strikes eaten per minute. Charles Oliveira is barely lower than Ilia Topuria over their whole careers. His rate of strikes that he gets hit with per minute.
That's not a fair sample size.
It's A, not a fair sample size, but B, also, all Ilia Topuria likes to do is strike. And Charles Oliveira is much more 50-50 striking and grappling. So Charles Oliveira has spent half of his career scrambling with people and grappling with people and half of his career striking with people. And he's getting hit just as often as Ilia Topuria per minute. That actually means that Charles Oliveira gets hit a lot more. Like his defense is way worse.
It's a weird stat.
It was a really weird stat to bring up, but it was things like if these two people are going to strike, like Ilia Topuria is a much, much more deft defensive striker than Charles Oliveira.
And to credit to the FIQ of Topuria, right? Because Charles got that body lock, botched the takedown. Topuria landed on top, and Charles is rolling for the leg. Kind of had Topuria in a bad spot there for a second, but then Topuria was like, you know what? Fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to kick your leg till the ref stands you up. And then it was shortly after that nasty, nasty right hook, left hook.
Yeah.
Follow up. Hate to see it to Charles. Hate to see it happen to him. But man, that was brutal. That's making a statement.
It's making a statement, and I think it all comes down to just how fearless Topuria was. Because as you say, like he got tangled up in the legs, he stood up, all that. But, there was that moment where Charles Oliveira tried to, trip him and body lock him, and Topuria, switched it up and reversed and landed on top. And he just went right after Charles Oliveira on the ground. Went right to the crucifix and was, going hard after Oliveira, scrambling with him. And so at the point where he just pulled his leg out and stood up, it was much more of a, okay, I don't have to do this with you.
It's high FIQ.
Yeah, I've shown that I can scramble with you and I can be on the ground with you and I'm not afraid of you, but I don't have to stay here. I can get up and I can make you get up. And when you get up, you're going to know you have to come after me because I'm not afraid of you, And Charles Oliveira tried coming after him.
Damn, he ran right into that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so heavy.
It was a beautiful couple shots. It's one of those shots too where it's not even wasn't even like Charles Oliveira's head flung around or anything like that. It was just the punches were so heavy that when they connected, it was just like a thudding connection.
And two of them.
Yeah.
Clean.
Yeah. I mean, it was done. Beautiful win for Topuria, and like I say, it sets him up only for cool fights now. And
it was a little corny to see the double belts.
Yeah.
We already moved on from the featherweight thing.
Yeah, we're done. You're done with that. We don't care.
Yeah.
You're not. I know you idolize Conor McGregor. I know you got all your tattoos because of Conor McGregor, but you're not Conor McGregor, and you don't have the double belts. You've got the one belt, and that's just the way it is.
Imagine how shitty you have to feel being Arman Sarukian. You're the backup, you're the alternate for this fight. And then the first thing out of Rogan's mouth, he's like, so Patty Pimblett.
And they bring Patty Pimblett in, which, I mean, look, I loved them bringing. I love them bringing Van in to talk to Pantoja.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed them bringing Pimblett in to talk to Topuria, but it was a really terrible idea. Like these two men, Van and Pantoja, they come in, they're shaking hands, they're patting each other on the back. They're like, "Man, I can't wait to fight you. That's going to be so much fun." Ilya Topuria and Paddy Pimblett hate each other. They cannot be within 5 feet of each other without fighting.
That show was soft as a bitch, though. It was cringy. It was cringy.
Yeah. No, I mean, they can't. It's just one of those things. Like, they're both there. Topuria's here. He's got his belts. He's in his moment of glory. He knows he's not supposed to fight this guy.
The fight should have broke out, though. They should have gotten to a little scuffle.
Well, Paddy Pimblett came in, and he knows that he's got all the excuse. He can make Topuria miserable, which is like you see him go in right away, and he's touching Topuria, like patting him on the shoulder. It's like, you're not supposed to fight me right now. This is your moment. And every bit of it was just like pure backhanded, like, "Oh yeah, no, that was a real nice knockout. Good job, buddy." So yeah. So yeah, it was still, they built hype the right way for the right fights. I get that if you're Arman Tsarukyan, you're going to be pissed, but Pimblett and Topuria have been hating each other for like 1.5 years, 2 years now. And it's over, like, nobody even knows why. They got
into, like, I don't know if it was like a staring match gone wrong, but didn't Patty hit him with the hand sanitizer bottle?
Yeah, they got into some sort of stupid argument at a hotel or something. And so, like, the beef is there. Sell the fight in the moment that you have to sell. The fight they have to sell is Pimblett Topuria. I'm fine with it,
Yeah, I'm excited for it, especially after what Pimblett did to Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. Send it.
Oh, the chat is reminding me that Pimblett said a bunch of shit about Georgia and Georgians. That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which makes sense. Pimblett's got this weird xenophobic, racist, get all the immigrants out of my country thing going on. But, he's British, so they only know about invading other people.
Oh, imperialistic, I see.
Yeah. It's in his blood. But yeah, I'm excited for the Pimblett fight. I'm excited for Topuria. I'm excited for everything he does at lightweight, honestly. Like, I really kind of wish he'd stuck around at featherweight and fought guys like Diego
Lopez.
There we go. Or one of the other guys, but I can't even remember their names right now. So how hyped was I really? The truth is, Tsarukyan, Pimblett, maybe Makachev.
Evloev was up there.
Yeah, Evloev. Like, I was interested in I always want to see a guy hold on to the belt and, like, defend it a bunch and be that dude. But I've
never cared about that personally.
I know.
I don't care. I make super fights.
Yeah. And I think that doing the fights at lightweight, they're just more exciting. Gagey Topuria, Tsarukyan Topuria, Pimblett Topuria. These are all cool fights. In part because Topuria is so small in that division that he's always going to feel, even when he's a favorite. Like, I'm going to pick him to beat Gagey, absolutely. I'm going to pick him. I'm going to pick him in every one of these fights, but he's going to feel like an underdog in every one of these fights too, because, like, Paddy Pimblett is like 7 feet tall, Yeah,
especially out of camp.
That motherfucker, he gets in the cage and suddenly he looks like a giant. He's out of the cage, he's a balloon. In the cage, he's, suddenly just, like, blows up somehow. He suddenly looks like a goddamn middleweight. So
yeah, I mean, he looked huge against Chandler.
Exactly. So it's gonna always feel like every Topuria fight is gonna be thrilled. Oh, somebody apparently saying that Dana White was pissed off that they brought Pimblett into the cage. Like, if I'm Dana White, the right angle to do, it was it's good business to bring Pimblett into the cage and get that hype going. But I think if you're White, you should also present the, like, no, I'm pissed off. We shouldn't have done that. That
Yeah,
was a
the
bad
illusion.
idea.
Like, oh, Armand, sorry,
Yeah.
you were next, but I
Yeah.
don't know why they did that.
Yeah. Like,
We'll make it right.
and him being pissed off is going to play it up to the fans even more. I think it's honestly, at that point, it's just all work.
Yeah.
Dana White doesn't care. He doesn't need to care. All right. That brings us, though. So for Topuria, I mean, I think the Pimblett thing is it's fun. If they want to do Tsarukian, they can. But Pimblett that's the blood feud. You got to go with that. Strike while the iron's hot.
And honestly, more fun of a fight.
Exactly.
We know what Tsarukian comes to do. I like him.
Yeah.
I appreciate him. But in from just a pure fan perspective, for excitement, for entertainment, Patty, not just the build-up, but the fight itself.
You put that as a pay-per-view headliner in Manchester, where all the Spanish fans can come and like get there easily.
Or go to Spain.
Or go to Spain, where all the British can come and the Spaniards will hate them all. Yeah.
That is the fight to go to Spain with.
It is, especially because the Spanish hate the English. Hate them. Because English tourists are the worst and are hated across Europe for just going to the France and Spain and Portugal and all the really like Mediterranean countries and just being complete fucking assholes.
Yeah. And their cuisine. Let's not forgive that.
Yeah. So you gotta do it in Spain.
There is no bigger fight to bring to Spain.
Yeah. Flood Spain with English MMA fans. Watch them get in fights all across the country. It'd be awesome. Then for Oliveira, I mean, I don't know. You know, he's kind of in a place where he's fought absolutely everyone. And some of them twice. And this was a really crushing loss. So
he'll fight Max after Max fights Dustin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Seems to be
Oliveira, Holloway too.
Win or lose. I'm really praying for that Poirier to go out like Robbie Lawler did, you know, on a win. But even if Max wins, put him in there with Oliveira.
It would be interesting too because they fought once before, like a decade ago.
Wasn't that weird esophagus?
That was the fluke esophagus injury fight. So they kind of didn't fight, you know.
No, they fought.
I mean, I know they fought, but it was like a minute and a half, and then he got an injury, and that was it.
Well, technically, this was 2.5 minutes, and Oliveira got an injury. That was it.
Fair. Yeah, Joe Rogan saying, "Oh, Oliveira's never been put away in the first round before." It's like he's been stopped 3 times in the first round, Joe. That used to be his whole thing, was that he was kill or be killed, and the moment things started going wrong, he would get put away.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Holloway would be a good shout. Or you could do Oliveira Hooker, too. That'd be fun.
Sure.
Yeah, just, you know. Or even Oliveira like Fiziev, I guess. That'd be cool.
Maybe.
You know.
Maybe.
It would work.
I think Fiziev's not quite. Yeah, I guess he is. I don't know.
Somebody else saying, should Oliveira go to 170?
Fuck no.
No. I don't really.
Although these are brutal weight cuts for him.
Yeah, but
I would have been fine if he retired tonight.
Sure. I'm always fine if a fighter retires. He could, but there's not a fight that jumps off for me for him at 170 that I'd really want to see. Is just like Bilal Muhammad, Sean Brady, Shavkat, Leon Edwards, Kamaru, Gary, like these just aren't fights that I really have been thinking about ever seeing Charles Oliveira in. So I don't know. It'd be a big adjustment for me personally.
Maybe like Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, or I guess you'd say like Joaquin Buckley or something, but
It's like a
yeah.
waste of Charles Oliveira.
Yeah. All right. So now let's talk Pantoja Cara France. And man, look, I get it. Kai Cara France was the right place, right time title fight recipient. Manel Kopp was in the conversation and got injured, I believe.
He's always getting over like passed up on. I think he pissed the UFC. Pissed off the UFC at some point because they are real big on passing him up.
Yeah. And he was supposed to fight Brandon Royval for this fight. You know, the reason Joshua Van is here is because Kopp got it hurt and broke his foot. So you know, Kai Cara France was already in position, is true, for this even before. But yeah, otherwise, you know, we've seen Pantoja Royval, we've seen Pantoja Moreno, Amir Albazi lost, Tatsuro Taira lost. Cara France was not coming off of any particularly amazing. You know, he knocked out Steve Erceg. It was a great win for him, but it was off of a couple losses to Albazi and Moreno. It didn't make sense for him to get a title shot off that.
But it did though, because like they fought before, but it was 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So and it wasn't really a sanctioned professional bout.
Yeah.
So it's technically new blood.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying is he's right place, right time. It made sense for the timing. He was the guy in the moment. But man, did this show out and show that Kai Cara France he does not deserve to be in there with Alexandre Pantoja. Like, he is not on that level. That was the same way with Brandon Moreno too. And Pantoja made him. I mean, if you could give Curtis Blades what Alexandre Pantoja knows, where Pantoja just went out there from the first moment, and he's just like, I am on the front foot. I am attacking you fearlessly and relentlessly to get into range, to duck in on that takedown off a punch. And I'm going to start making your life hell with my wrestling game immediately. Like, he has his striking game is loopy and weird, and, you know, it's not like real. Yeah, it's not really technical in terms of like how he puts his punches together always, but it is so effective at setting up his wrestling game. It is built.
It's actually the same going the other way, right? So round 1, Pantoja comes out, gets a quick takedown, takes the back. And by the way, I love how he takes the fucking back. Like he just slides him down on top of them, no hooks or anything, and then he'll kick their fucking legs out so they fall, almost like a kiss breathing kind of thing. That is so fucking sweet. That is like, wow, right? So he takes Kai's back like almost a huge chunk of that first round.
Yeah.
Almost
enough that you could almost 10-8. Yeah.
Almost. I was that close.
I didn't score 10-8.
But you notice coming out to start the second round, Kai was hesitant to open up and let his hands go because he was so worried about that fucking takedown. Like he knew it was coming and he didn't know when. So that allowed Pantoja to get his strikes off. Like he was like finishing his punches with like double leg kicks.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, he's always been a wild man. If you let him come forward and strike, he will throw his whole body into those strikes, and he will punish you for it. And the thing I love too is, you know, the booth is all the time like, oh my God, is Pantoja slowing down and all that? It's like, no. He realized right away that Cara France is skittish to the point that he doesn't want to engage at all. So he went out and he built a lead in the round. And it's just smart championship fighting to say like, okay, if you're just gonna let me have a round, I'll take it and just like get my cardio back, rest up a little. Don't need to be. I've been pressing balls to the wall for around, for the whole of the last round. If you're gonna give me a round to just get my energy back, and then he comes out in the round 3 and he's just 1,000% on again.
And like on top of that, Pantoja is someone that can fight tired.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he gets.
No,
We've
it
seen
really
him
doesn't.
dig deep and fight hard when he's dead ass tired. The Royval fight.
Yeah.
He was fucking gassed in that shit and still did what he had to do to get the dub.
Yeah. And I got to say too, you talked about the kick out, the drag down, kick out, back take. This was one of the sweetest rear naked chokes I have ever witnessed. And I absolutely love what Pantoja was doing in there, where he got, because his arm was, when he started that choke, his arm was like across the nose almost. It was nowhere near under the chin.
Mm-hmm.
But he put it in, and he's locking it up, and he's got the arm up there, and he knows Kai Kara-France has to fight the hand, has to fight the top hand to release the choke. And so every single time Kara-France fought the top hand, you could see Pantoja's focus was all on squeezing the actual choke arm every little bit and getting it in further and under further. So every time Kara-France is focused on this hand, that arm is getting more around his neck. And by the time he actually had to fight the bottom arm, it was done. Like it was that the choke arm had tightened up so much while he was hand fighting the top hand that.
Well, a little small detail as to why he was able to do that is because he was using his head to push Kai's head.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kept pinning it and just kept doing this and this.
Yeah.
And this. And so it's still choking. Like you can choke with one arm like that. Yeah. And so he just kept doing it and kept going here. And he didn't have the space to go and, behind the head, which is optimal because his own head was there. But masterful. Like,
it's just one of the sweetest, most. I know you're set up to fight the rear naked choke. So I'm going to make you have to think about it in like 3 different ways that you did not train to think about this choke. And it's just inevitable at that point. It's just like, if you're going to have both my arms here, you can fight it as much as you want, but I'm going to be doing enough shit with this that the position is secured. So you're going to sleep. Like there's no winning. And you don't see that with a lot in MMA where somebody with a rear naked choke can get it to where somebody hand fighting them really well is still never going to escape that choke.
No, it was masterful.
It really was.
Yeah, Pantoja's a pound for pound great.
He's not near. He's not DJ yet, but he is building a legacy in that division where he's clearly in the. You got to have him in the conversation of. What, second best flyweight champion of all time?
Hands down.
Yeah.
You look at his resume.
Mm-hmm. He's now defended 4 times.
He's lapping people.
And, he beat Brandon Moreno, who would have one of the other strong resumes for second best.
He actually beat him twice, but yeah.
Yeah. He's actually beat him, I think, 3 times.
One was the exhibition, but yeah.
So it's really just the one Davison Figueiredo loss sitting on his record there.
Askar Askarov beat him.
Yeah, but like every flyweight has a couple random losses here and there that like color their record a little bit, Figgy lost to Hussier Formiga.
Oh, that was the mirror match, the evil twin versus the good twin.
So
and he's already beat Cop,
Yeah.
Urseg, Asakura. I mean, the only if he runs through Van, which I don't know that he will, Horiguchi maybe? Like
yeah, And I mean, they got to find a way. They should find a way at some point to get Cop into a title fight. I know he seems like kind of a dipshit, and I know he's injured all the time.
I like
But
Kyle as a fighter.
yeah, he's top rate entertainment. Like that needs to happen. So, and then yeah, I mean, you got to look further down in the division where guys like Ochoa and Kavanaugh, they're both really top prospects on the rise. There are new fighters coming up that will compete sometime in the future, but for right
Pantoja
now,
might be gone by then.
he might be gone by then. But somebody asked earlier for what we thought about the idea of him moving up, and some people, it's being thrown around. I don't think he has any interest or has ever expressed any interest in moving up. I think he's much more on the Valentina Shevchenko kick, where he just wants to stay in his division. You never hear him talking about moving up a division. I would be surprised if he did.
I think he was talking about fighting O'Malley at one point.
That's just because they trained together for a while, and then there was a big. Yeah. I think he talked about fighting O'Malley because O'Malley started like talking about how he already knocked Pantoja out with a body shot or something, and Pantoja took it personally, and it was some whole thing. But
it's too bad that DJ's retired. If the UFC could bring him back, that would be like the biggest flyweight fight of all time.
It's true. I mean, especially the way for prize fighters that they stay Johnson is probably in a weird way the most popular he's ever been in his career, having not fought for a couple of years.
Yeah, because he did an excellent job of building his brand.
Yeah,
on his own.
All right. So yeah, I think they're clearly Joshua Van Pantoja, that's something they're aiming for. It'll be interesting to see if Joe Rogan was just going totally rogue on all of that shit. I would not be surprised at all.
No, because they had him sitting cage side. Like
they
front
did.
row.
Yeah. But
no,
yeah, you gotta
I'm so excited for that too.
Yeah.
It's true fresh blood.
Mm-hmm.
The flyweight or the flyweight title picture. And like Van is, first of all, he's like what, 22, 23?
23, yeah.
Like he's so young. He is so fucking young that, I mean, maybe he'll pull off an upset, maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, even if it's a Cejudo DJ1 situation,
sure,
where Cejudo went out and got wrecked in the clinch by Johnson,
mm-hmm.
like that only lit a fire under Henry Cejudo. Like at this point in his career, a title fight loss, that is not going to wreck a fighter's confidence. Like when you're that young and you know that you have all this time out ahead of you to already get to a title fight, even if you lose it, you're going to feel like you are, massively overperforming on everybody's expectations.
All right. And I mean, I alluded to that like 2 weeks ago when he fought. Yeah. I was trying to push for that Horiguchi fight with Van. Like, this is no big deal. He'll get that experience. And I mean, talk about taking advantage of an opportunity. Like he just fought, broke his toe in that fight, I think he said.
Yeah.
And still came out here and performed the way he did.
So yeah, we got to talk about it.
Fight of the night.
Royval. Fight of the night easy. Fight of the year potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew Royval was in a ton of trouble when he let Van win round 1, because that is always Van's slowest round. It's like, if you didn't take advantage of Van not having his timing out of the gate, you have already put yourself in a hole. I don't know what you were thinking, Royval, but that was bad. That was a terrible game plan. But you got to credit Royval, because he came out doing that whole leaf blower, Holly Holm shit that he's been on for these past couple of years. When he decided to get technical after, losing a couple of big opportunities. And Van put it on him and said, if you do that, if you don't really fight me, I will hurt you. And credit to Royval, he said, "Shit, okay, I'll bite down, and I am going to scrap this out. I'm gonna brawl this fight out, and I'm gonna try do everything I can to throw as much as I can at you with as much bad intentions as I can, and make this just a dogfight all the way through."
He actually surprised me a little bit because
Yeah,
I picked Van.
yeah. I picked Royval because I thought, you know what, this is too short notice, and Royval's going to go out there and do the leaf blower thing, and it'll put up numbers, and it won't be pretty, but it will be enough to scrape out a really close, ugly win. But
For me, my only hesitation was the fact that Van is susceptible to leg kicks, and Royval is a master at kicking the leg. Like the man is he knows how to attack the leg. So in my head, I'm like, but outside of that, I don't think he can match Van in the boxing. Van has better hands, and if they grapple, I might even give Van the edge there.
I mean, Royval's a much better attacking grappler. Van might be a good wrestler, but Royval is, he's legit subbed a lot of people. I don't like, has Van ever even gotten a submission in his entire career? Okay, he did get a calf slicer. Credit to him for that. But, it's Mario Suazo.
But
like, yeah.
Royval impressed me though, because I feel like he abandoned the leg kicks and just bit down and was like, I'm just going to start fucking throwing straights, and I'm just going to go after this guy and get into a brawl. And it was in his favor. I had him winning that third round up until the knockdown.
I wouldn't go that far, but it definitely, Van showed up so big in round 3 to the kid just knows absolutely how to pick his shots and what he is looking for out of an opportunity.
Yeah, especially I love the way he was finishing his combinations by coming over the top with the right hand. Royval wasn't seeing it at all.
No.
He was landing all night. It almost came from his pocket.
Yeah.
He throws something and then just comes over everything with this right, and just you can't ignore that.
I will say the big thing that really surprised me that showed up for Royval here too was that, and this is something that Van needs to be cautious of going forward, was that when Royval could push forward, which he got to do probably at least half the fight, he got the front foot.
Mm-hmm.
He was able often to overwhelm Van with sheer volume, and just, it wasn't pretty, but he would just be like, okay, here's 2 jabs, here's a hook, here's a knee, here's an elbow. It's just a constant pile-on where Van could react and land one big counter maybe, but it was clearly a problem for him. And the difference between that and when Van could go forward and push Royval back, and the shots he would land on Royval when Royval was on the back foot, this was really this was such a great learning experience for an elite introduction into elite MMA, because Royval was out there, he's doing the right things for the MMA meta. He's out there, he's being aggressive, he's throwing tons of volume, he's staying in your face, he's finding those transition strikes, all of that stuff. And Van can look at this and say, if this guy, if I let people do that, they have a lot more success. And there's a lot more problems for a guy like Royval or for other fighters in this division if I can keep them on the back foot. I don't have to let Brandon Royval come forward on me. And, this was, like I say, I think this is a great, even in a win, it should be a great learning experience for him to take away and just say, okay, there's stuff that didn't work and the stuff that did. And Van seems like such an adaptable fighter that
he's so young, he's still a sponge. He said he's only been training for 5 years. The man's about to be in a title shot, only training 5 fucking years. That's wild.
Several people have mentioned it now. The oblique kicks he threw in there in this fight too.
Savage.
I mean, those were not only savage, but that was a great tool to stop Royval's momentum when Royval was trying to build and push forward. Like those oblique kicks, they knocked Royval flat out of his momentum several times. That's that's something that he should be looking at and being like, man, this is a great way to not only should I not be going backward, but if I do get somebody who does feel like they need to pressure me and they're coming at me, tons of volume, lean on that technique. Like that worked so well for him here.
Yeah, he's I don't remember him throwing many of those before this fight. So that was like a new tool in his arsenal.
Yeah. This was just huge fight from Van. And I mean, when I say, man, I'm just going to be gushing about this kid for a while. But the thing with having an elite style like him and having the kind of technique he has is that they're throwing a combined, let me look at I
think it was over 400 landed.
Yeah, they threw a combined 400. They landed a combined 419 strikes. They threw a combined 772 strikes. And you know what it felt like at the end of that fight? It felt like Van easily had another 2 rounds in him because the way he fights is so natural and confident to his strengths that he's not going out there and he's not pushing himself and like emptying the tank doing this stuff. This is what he is training for. This is how he wants to push himself. This is the fight that
and that youthful exuberance.
That youthful exuberance doesn't hurt too. No, yeah. I mean, shit, I'm getting older every day and you feel all of it. But
I don't think Royval was getting tired either.
Well, Royval was starting to get hurt.
He was starting to get hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. Whether he's getting tired or not. The thing with Royval is that like he's throwing all that stuff and he's landing some of it and he's doing a little damage here and there, but a lot of his stuff is just, it's throwaway. Like he can do all that volume because he's not throwing that hard kind of thing. But for Van, the power is there and the volume is there.
Yeah.
And it's not tiring him out because it's delivered with clean technique. And it's delivered with the intention that this is the pace I'm training to set. And I mean, that's scary,
Yeah. I'm real curious to see if Pantoja, or if he can keep Pantoja off of him.
Yeah. It'll be amazing. It'll be fascinating. And like I say, if he can't,
honestly,
then
I don't think I've been this excited for a flyweight title fight as I am right now. Like it's been a while. It's been
like you have to go back to like DJ Cejudo or like DJ Horiguchi.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
It really has. So this was great, man. And for Royval on the flip side of it, he can go fight I don't know. There's a lot of guys coming off losses in that division. He can fight Almabayev or Perez, or I don't know. He could fight Tetsuro Taira again. Or even he could fight Kai Kara France again, actually. Like that first fight, I know he, kind of mopped the floor with Kara France, but it was a very different Royval and a very different Kara France at that point. So
yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch of that. All right. That brings us to a lightweight bout. Beneil Dariush, Renato Moicano. And hey, this was a hell of a lot of fun. Terrific war. And Dariush, man, like my read going in, I was worried about this fight. And I was worried, I'm not worried and like, oh, I don't think it's going to be fun or whatever, but the thing is, like 4 years ago, I would have picked Dariush no matter what.
Sure.
I would have just said Dariush is mopping the floor with Moicano. But every time Dariush loses, it feels like it might end his career.
Sure.
And back-to-back knockout losses, you just like, oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah. I fucked up here. I went with Moicano, and I was so split. And I feel like I let the X factors get to me. I'm like, Dariush hasn't won since 2022. But then I'm like, but if Dariush is like in form, he's the better striker. Clear, hands down. More powerful, more technical, better. Period. And I was like, and he can hang with anybody on the ground.
Yeah, he's the better wrestler, and he's the more positional grappler.
Better grappler, period.
Yeah.
Or I didn't know who was better. Like jiu-jitsu.
He's a better positional grappler. Moicano is a better attacking grappler.
Sure.
But Dariush is a much more lockdown position grappler.
Or even a better scrambler.
Yeah.
What he did to Gamrot?
Yeah, I mean, that was
crazy scrambles. So it's like if Dariush is in form, I'll pick him, but I just couldn't trust that he was. And I mean, betting wise, I took the spread on Moicano plus 2.5, so that cashed, or allegedly I took it.
Yeah.
So that was all good and well, but the second the fight started, I was like, oh, I fucked up here. And then Moicano drops Dariush.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on right now? But hey, Dariush came back, gassed Moicano in the second round, made him carry all of his weight, and by the third round, Moicano was just a shell of his.
I mean, the reason I picked Dariush really, and I was just as split, was I had to say to myself, is Moicano likely to finish? I mean, Moicano doesn't finish anybody with strikes, almost ever. You know,
sometimes with ground strikes, but yeah,
once or twice. And is he likely to finish Dariush with strikes on the ground? I had to be like, no. Mm-hmm. And if he's not going to finish Dariush, even if he hurts him really badly, I have to pick Dariush, because Dariush is a guy who, if you don't finish him, he rallies really well. And I mean, the thing that you really saw that really just keeps showing up with Dariush and that I love to see is that he is one of the most goal-oriented fighters out there, where doesn't matter how tired he is, doesn't matter how hurt he is, doesn't matter how bad things are going, he sees his goal and he will pursue it to the ends of the earth. Like, he might have been just as tired as Moicano in this fight, but he was never at any point going to stop working on beating Moicano's ass. Right. Because the goal is the win, and Dariush will never stop fighting until he's hit that goal.
He's a dog.
He is.
He's like a well-manicured dog. Like, he wouldn't.
Yes.
He's like one of those breeds where it's like a Dalmatian. Like, you think it's all friendly, and then you go to pet it, it fucking snaps at you. That's
absolutely. Yeah. So I was scared, but man, this was such a great fight though too, because he did get dropped and he did have to battle back from adversity, and they put together a hellacious pace. And you got all the scrambles. We got two grapplers who both will kickbox, and they did for a large stretch of it, but we actually got all the scrambling grappling too, and that's what I want to see.
Yeah. That's what I was hoping for going in.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I got to see it. It worked out really well for Dariush. Like, I'm still shocked he got dropped in the first round. Like,
yeah.
That's like, when was the last time Moicano dropped somebody?
But
he couldn't finish him.
Yep. Great fight.
Moicano was losing the round up until that point.
Yeah, no, it was a fight. Dariush would have cleaned up every round on the scorecard had he not got dropped.
Yeah.
That was really the only difference. So that said,
so this is who I want to see fight Fiziev next, is Dariush.
Yeah, Beneil Dariush. Oh, man. I would worry hard for Dariush, but I'd also accept it. I would also say, uh, Dariush has not fought Dan Hooker, and that would actually be a really cool fight because Dan is much like Dariush. He is a guy who just never stops going after a win,
Mm-hmm.
and he is a much more dangerous striker than Moicano, but also much more out wrestlable and out grappleable. So I would love to see Dariush versus Hooker.
I'm here for
Eve
that.
also works.
It would be violent.
Yeah. Hooker Dariush feels like such a guaranteed violence fight.
Yeah. Well, so is Fiziev. And
He is. It's true. It's true.
Everybody wins no matter what.
Yeah. And for Moicano,
I think Hooker's still dealing with his hand, isn't he?
might be, yeah, he might be. But Dariush probably isn't going to fight again soon. He's an old man. He's got other stuff to do.
Nah. He's been like injured. I'm sure he's trying to fight as often as he can.
Well, every fighter says that, but yeah, and for Moicano, I don't know. He's probably got a fight with the IRS coming up sooner or later.
Oh, my shit.
That man doesn't believe in paying his taxes.
Yeah. Didn't he get paid in Bitcoin for one
Would not be at all surprised.
That the Islam fight. I think he said he got paid in Bitcoin.
Oh, but what we got to do
with Moicano?
Yeah. Moicano Chandler.
Oh, fuck. Sure.
Right?
That's weird.
Moicano Chandler. That's the fight.
Okay. I'm here for it.
What the hell else are you doing with Michael Chandler right now?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. You're going to get an unhinged post-fight speech either way, just like we knew with Moicano versus Dariush, we were going to get an unhinged post-fight speech either way.
Was Dariush unhinged?
He kept it. He got really heavy into the Jesus talk, but he did stay away from Iran, which I kind of figured he would go into Christianizing Iran.
I was shocked about that, actually.
Yeah.
I was for sure he was going to mention it.
I really thought he would too. Especially since he mentioned it.
I am totally cool with Benny getting up there and praising his Lord and Savior and like letting people know that.
No, it's a lot better than Terrence McKinney threatening us all with Christ.
I mean, it's better than Jacoby being like Joe Rogan.
Well, you know what? I will always advocate for any fighter willfully taking their post-fight speech not seriously at all.
Yeah, I guess.
Even if they're just a total chud about it.
Nah, I didn't think Benny was unhinged. I think he's just witnessing.
No. He was much more reserved than he's been in the past. He's had a few post-fight speeches where you're like, bro.
A lot less cringe.
Yeah. But all right. That brings us to another sweet fucking fight.
Yeah.
Another one.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton Talbot, Felipe Lima, and Peyton Talbot, I think he's still got I don't want to say he's arrogant, but there's an arrogance to his game where he makes mistakes because it seems like he doesn't think that he's going to pay for them. Like trying to take Lima down from a clinch and just basically pulling him on top of him instead. Where it's just like, you didn't have the leverage for that takedown at all. Why? And you didn't need to try it. But you just thought that he wouldn't be ready for it. So you threw yourself into that mistake.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he thinks he feels things that maybe aren't there.
Yeah. Which, like I say, it's a certain kind of arrogance that's like...
It's either arrogance or ignorance.
Yeah.
It's one of the two.
But it has to be said, man, when his game starts flowing, it is just one of the most naturally transitioning, dangerous MMA games out there, where
Oh, 100%.
he goes from striking through wrestling through positionally dominant ground and pound, where it just feels brutally dangerous at every step.
I picked him
And
here. I picked him.
I picked him too.
Yeah, I couldn't believe the how much people wrote him off after losing to like a seasoned veteran like Barcelo.
Yeah. I mean,
in my head, I'm like, I guarantee he learned a lesson.
Yeah, and he did. Like, Barcelos came in with 3 plans of attack for every takedown, and it was just a level of wrestling depth that Talbot didn't have and didn't know he needed.
Right.
So, yeah, of course he came out and learned that, but also Felipe Lima does not have that in his game.
Yeah.
He does not have the ability to attack a takedown from multiple angles and to set up and chain his takedown attempts to go through him. He still caught Talbot off guard a couple times.
Sure.
But he does not have it in him. And that was just, this was a fight where Lima was going to compete with him, but it was hard for me to picture Lima dragging Talbot into deep enough water in any area to start dominating him there.
Yeah. And I mean, Talbot got pantsed. He got exposed by Barcelos for not being able to defend the chain wrestling. But him not getting finished, being in some horrific positions, was a good sign for me.
Yeah, and he was also like, he got himself into every round of that fight. People forget that, he was still crushing Barcelos on the feet multiple points in that fight, where it was then saved or taken away from him by takedowns. Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, Lima, yes, he can grapple, but he's not Barcelos. He doesn't have that seasoning, And I feel like record-wise, these guys are very similar experience-wise.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't see Felipe coming out here and old school in this guy or
no
using any craft or anything.
No. Felipe Lima is a great fighter. He's a great pace fighter, and he's a great chain fighter where he can work all the transitions. He can scramble with somebody, and if he can just brawl through into clinches and brawl through clinches into takedowns and takedowns into scrambles and scrambles back to his feet and just keep a chain going, he can be a lot to handle. But if somebody can kind of break that chain for him and put him into a spot and make him have to strike a lot or have to grapple a lot or have to wrestle a lot, his game isn't really deep enough to sustain it. And that's what we saw.
And he was remarking about the power in his corner.
Yeah.
He was fucking powerful. And that's never a good sign.
No.
You don't want your fighter coming back to the corner saying this guy is fucking powerful.
Yeah, no. So great show for Talbot. I actually missed who he called out after the fight. Did you?
Oh yeah, it was Adrian Yanez.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is fucking fireworks.
Yeah. Shit. Book it. Make it happen. If he wants that fight, I bet Yanez wants that fight.
And I bet Talbot's tired of fucking having to defend takedowns.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure he wants to be able to come out and just scrap.
Yep.
And I think he said Yanez has been injured or something.
Yeah.
So hopefully they book that because
let Yanez get his, let him get his get injured or get recovered from his injury or whatever, and then make it happen. Because
it's a great call out.
It's a great call out. Otherwise, you can do something like sticking him in there against Ayman Zahabi or something like that. But
that's a big kind of step up. Yeah. But I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it too.
But going from Aldo to Talbot.
It's true.
It would feel like a letdown.
Sure. No, it's true. But Talbot's, he's the hot hand. So the UFC is clearly going to ride him, and it's going to be easy for him to get booked, I think, because fighters are going to see him and say, oh, if I beat this guy, people are going to know about it.
Yeah, but if you don't get that from beating Aldo.
No, well, yeah, it's true. It's true.
You're in no man's land.
It's true. I would not at all be surprised if Zahabi is forced to take a step down from that fight, honestly. I don't think the UFC cares one goddamn about Ayman Zahabi. But
It ties in there with Faraz, though.
yeah.
Maybe some relationship. I don't know.
The only problem with the Yanez call out, of course, is that he's coming off a loss to Daniel Marcos. So
That doesn't matter. Talbot was coming off a loss for this fight.
It's true. It's true. All right. That brings us to a middleweight bout. Gregory Rodriguez.
Death of the night.
Yeah, Gregory Rodriguez, Jack Hermanson. And I mean,
total glue factory moment here.
Yeah, I picked Rodriguez, and I picked him because I was just like, especially in a 3-round fight, I thought it should have been booked for 5. Because in a 3-round fight, I just would say, I thought it should be booked for 5 because Gregory Rodriguez, his big problem in that Jared Cannonier fight was he came out, started super strong, and then fell off.
Yeah.
And got out-veteraned. So Jack Hermanson, it's a step down, but the only interest I have in Jack Hermanson in a fight like this is, can he outlast Gregory Rodriguez? Because I know Gregory Rodriguez is going to do horrible things to him early on.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're booking it for just 3 rounds, I'm pretty much banking Gregory Rodriguez is going to win 2 of them. And if he starts losing the 3rd, I didn't learn anything new about Gregory Rodriguez.
Well, my read was about the same. It was either going to be a first-round knockout, which it was, or it's going to be 2 dominant rounds, followed by a rallying 3rd for Jack. Losing. I didn't ever see him actually winning.
No, that's why I said it should have been 5 because then I could see the path.
But it shouldn't be.
Hermanson.
This isn't a main event.
Well, it's an Apex main event.
No, absolutely not, Zane. Absolutely not.
Jack Hermanson's had, it's as much a main event as his fight against Joe Pyfer was.
Yeah, and that fight sucked.
I know, but I'm just saying, if the UFC is putting on shit cards with shit main events, it could have been one.
Yeah, I guess.
But anyway.
I don't need to see fight.
It was all academic. It's all academic.
Honestly, I don't need to see Hobo Cop in 5 rounds ever. I don't ever want to see him in a 5-rounder ever.
Fair enough.
Ever.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, it would be fun if he could get to a title contender point, but it's probably never going to happen. So I get it.
I'm not worried about him fighting for a title. I just want his violence.
Yeah.
Like, he's just an action fighter. I don't think he's really, I can't see him getting to a belt. Absolutely not.
And it was an academic discussion anyway, because Jack Hermanson got real jittery and real on his back foot and let Hobocop come forward a lot. And he got crucified. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Yeah. This was
man crucified him and put the nails in. Because, that was... Jack Hermanson's out there like this, He was 100% on the cross out there. And somebody asked me, was it a late stoppage I don't think it was.
I think Herb was just late to the game.
Herb doesn't have the foot speed he used to close distance like that. The one mistake that I will say that happened there, really and truly, is that Herb went for the reach around when he should have jumped in between and pushed him. He tried to go in and get him from the back and pull him away. It's like, you're already too far away and you're having to cover too much ground. You need to jump in and actually get between them.
Yeah.
I don't blame Rodriguez for all that, though, because I mean, is it a dirty shot and does it suck? Yes. Would 80% of fighters try for that same shot in the same situation? Also, yes, Ilya Topuria did it to Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
You know, Dan Henderson made himself an icon doing it.
True. He got a logo out of it.
Yeah. Like,
Masvidal, Ben Askren.
it is part of the game. And if you hate it, then that's just something to hate about MMA in general, you know?
Yeah. It's an uneasy feeling to watch.
It
I can understand that.
But every fighter trains to keep fighting until the ref pulls you off.
Right.
So if the ref lets a guy eat too many strikes, that's on the ref. You know?
And not everyone can be as cool as Mark Hunt.
No, like I say, 80%. There's a 20% of fighters who will go out there and they'll time it all perfectly, and they'll do the cool thing, and they'll be awesome dudes. They might also be Jalen Turner. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's,
so there's a reason that if you're in the gym training fighters, that you're training people. You keep fighting until the ref pulls you off. Because you want to be sure you won. Your career depends on this. You know?
And like, I guess the parable is people who hold on to submissions until the ref touches them.
Yeah.
It's like you're tapping and that's fine, but the ref didn't stop it yet. So
I need the ref to see this happen because I don't want to let it go and then have you keep fighting,
which we've seen.
You know, so
like it's unfortunate and it sucks, but it's fighting.
Yeah. Coming off that though, let's see. You gotta do
Joe Pyfer. That would be a crazy first round.
Yeah, I think
Iron Turtle. Get the Iron Turtle out there. Edmund Shabazian.
They already did. He already fought the Iron Turtle. It was it was an awesome, brutal war, but he knocked him out. Let's see. Unfortunately, the entire elite of middleweight is basically booked right now. So
let him fight Shabazian.
Yay. I'd watch him fight Shabazian. Or somebody's suggesting Ikram Alaskarov. That'd be fun.
Isn't he booked?
Is Ikram booked?
Is he fighting
yes, he is. Wait, no. He is. Yes, he's scheduled to face Bruno Fajeda.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, because the fight I really want to see is Gregory Rodriguez versus Roman Kopylov. But Kopylov is supposed to be fighting Paulo Costa. So just have Gregory Rodriguez step in when Paulo Costa inevitably pulls out of the fight.
Sure.
That I would be happy with that. Or you could do him versus Pyfer. Or that's about it, really. There's probably another fight or two in there that I'd be happy to see, but those would be the fun ones. All right. That brings us to a featherweight bout. Jose Miguel Delgado, Haider Emil, and I can only eat crow on this. This is just a shit sandwich for me. Because I'm out there on Twitter after recording the Vivi this week, and I'm like, man, I do not understand why Haider Emil is an underdog to Jose Delgado. I don't see it. I watch the footage. I look at the levels of competition. I look at the style of fight they prefer. And Haider Emil is a buzzsaw. And Jose Delgado fights like a talented young kid who's got an interesting flow, but doesn't really pay a lot of attention to his opponents. He's just kind of going out there trying stuff, and kind of reminds me of like Markel Medeiros, where there's a lot of just trying moves. I don't really care if you're set up for them or not. I'm just going to try combos and stuff like that. I didn't see why he would be a favorite in this fight. And
shame on you.
Yeah, shame on me. I will say straight up, I
don't know. I'm pretty sure we had a conversation in his last fight about how special he is.
I think maybe you did, and maybe I just was not buying it. Like, because for me, I like Delgado and all, but Connor Matthews is, to coin one of your terms, a bobo. Like, I'm not,
And he treated him as such.
He did, but like Hyder Emil, William Gomes is not a bobo. William Gomes is hard as hell to beat. And Hyder Emil went out there and
barely beat him.
He took that fight off him, though.
Yeah.
He went to war with him, and he really took that fight away from him. And Delgado, but I got to admit, look, Delgado's flow is legitimately creative. And until he meets a fighter that's actually really paying attention to what he's doing in the pocket, he's going to surprise a lot of people. It has to be said.
He is a phenom.
I gotta admit, I was wrong, because Hyder Emil has eaten 10 times the punishment from every single other fighter he's ever faced. And he could not take it from Delgado.
But Delgado melts everybody.
He melts a bunch of really poor competition, but yeah.
He melts everybody.
Except for Chris Mikate.
Chris Mikate. That's my dude. He's I've shot some promo vids for him. He's an Old Dominion wrestler. Or was. But now he's fighting an LFA, who's on a fucking crazy streak right now. He is.
Yeah.
Mikate's the truth.
So big ups to Mikate.
Yeah.
Your victory over Jose Delgado has aged like the finest of wines.
Yeah. And maybe they'll run that one back someday.
Yeah. Can only succeed in LFA for so long before you're more or less guaranteed a UFC contract.
But Delgado, he comes from the MMA lab, like was raised there, and like he was brought up to be a fighter. Like he is a phenom.
I'm seeing it. I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to see it. I did not trust it. He seems like he's just he's in such a flow out there that just doesn't feel like he sees his opponent at all. And I mean, but you don't have to. Like, I mean, that knee he hit Hyder Emil with, Hyder Emil had no idea what was coming in that moment.
No, that was nasty. And he even tried to elbow him on the way down.
Yeah. Like it's a hell of a flow he's got. It's it's legit. So I'm paying attention. Much better attention than I was.
He called out Gomi.
Yeah. That would be a fun fight. That would be a quality test as well, because it's obviously Emil beat Gomi, but Gomi is a totally different test than Hyder Emil. Gomi is a very neutralizing, safety first kind of fighter. So it would be a lot harder to just take a fight to him.
Yeah. If he wipes the floor with him, though, you're going to have to give this man his flowers.
Yeah, well, then you're going to have to book him against Chepe Mariscal.
Ooh. Ooh. Chepe's the man.
Chepe's the man. That would be a brutally good fight. I mean, yay, you're going to start showing up like this.
How old is Delgado?
He's 27, I think.
Oh, perfect.
Yep, 27.
Nice. Yeah, man. You got to keep your eye on this one.
No, I do. All right. That brings us to a woman's flyweight bout. Tracy Cortez, Vivi Araujo. Quality fight. They scrapped it out. And Cortez showed up ready to put it on Araujo. Araujo came out, scrambled well early, looked competitive early, but Cortez, she's, it's not, she doesn't have the power. She doesn't have the same kind of dynamism of like Beneil Dariush, but she has that same kind of drive to her where as long as she can be in the fight, she is going to be pushing to win at all times. And Araujo is not that kind of fighter. Araujo is much more of a fighter who wants to settle into an easy rhythm and get someplace where she can feel comfortable and where she can feel like she can do her work and not have to be pushed really hard. Where Cortez is clearly somebody who's just, all I want to do is push the fight. All I want to do is force the fight. And she came out and took a really good fight from Vivi Araujo. This was a great performance.
I didn't think it was that great of a fight.
I thought it was good. I don't know. I guess my expectations were low because I knew Cortez wasn't going to finish Araujo. And so to have her go out and be dominant was,
not a lot of damage. No submission attempts.
Yeah, she doesn't have the game for that kind of thing.
Half-hearted guillotines. Just a bunch of positional control.
I liked the fight. I thought it was quality. I didn't expect the finish, so I was happy.
Well, it's quality. Like compared to 135?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely quality. But just not that exciting.
I mean, on a night like tonight, it's hard to match it up. But I enjoyed it.
I'm happy that you enjoyed it, Zane.
All right. And coming off of that, obviously she's going to be that much more of a force in the rankings in that division. She's currently at 10, and Araujo was at 8. So, I mean, the thing is, we're getting into logjam territory up at the top there, where you've got Natalia Silva, you've got Erin Blanchfield, and you've got Macy Barber, and Jasmine Jasudavicius, and Rose Namajunas, all coming off wins alongside Furo and Grasso up there, coming off losses. And she's already faced Jasudavicius and faced Namajunas, and faced Blanchfield too, I think. Yeah, she beat Blanchfield back in Invicta in 2019 by split decision. So yeah, we've got somebody saying, yeah, run it back. It's the right time. Blanchfield's kind of in a tread water point where she's not going to get the next shot at Shevchenko, and she has already lost to Menon Furo. So,
and she's not fighting Macy Barber.
No, she said she won't fight Macy Barber. So she could fight Alexa Grasso, or she could fight Jasmine Jasudavicius, but she probably wouldn't mind getting that Cortez win back or loss back too. So seems like a good fight to make. And for Araujo, I don't know. Do Araujo Maverick. That'd be a solid fight.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
Yeah.
I think Miranda just had surgery though.
No.
She hurt her.
Oh yeah, she blew her ACL, right? Yeah. All right, that brings us to a lightweight bout. Terrence McKinney, Vyacheslav Borshev.
Two true outcomes.
I picked the wrong one. Did you pick the right one? You probably did.
Well, from a betting standpoint, I took both props.
Of course.
And my actual pick, I picked the wrong one.
Okay. I thought my read was Borshev. He gets finished, but he's never been finished in the first round.
Yeah.
And Terrence McKinney only finishes people in the first round or loses. Those are the only outcomes he has.
Yeah.
So I thought Borshev could survive just long enough for McKinney to melt down. But I mean, I knew it's just like there's like a 50 to 60% chance that McKinney comes out and just takes him down and submits him.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it is exactly what happened.
Takedown, Anaconda to guillotine. Slava Claus kicking his legs, panicking.
I mean, it has to be said, McKinney will never be a top contender. You may never be a ranked fighter. His game is too fragile. But he is one of the fastest fighters the UFC has ever seen. Just in pure speed.
Appreciate it. And I love to see it.
Yeah.
And I know you say you don't want to see him fight anymore. But I do.
Yeah.
This is must see.
It is. And then afterward, he warned everyone that the last days are upon us and that we should be ready for Christ to walk the earth soon, which, Terrence, I got to say, if that's your viewpoint, I'm not sure what you're doing fighting in the cage and not prepping for the return of the Lord.
Well, he's spreading the news. That's his. He's using the platform. Yeah.
Somebody did note that McKinney still has never earned a performance bonus.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even tonight?
Not even tonight. Bonuses went to Ilya Topuria and Gregory Rodriguez, and fight of the night, Van Royval.
Wow. That's insane.
Right? All right.
I feel like they should also make like knocked out of the night performance.
Yeah.
He would have racked those up.
Yeah, it's true. Although tonight that would have been Jack Hermanson because, like, man.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right? You get starched that badly, you get posterized.
You should get a bonus.
Give him $50,000.
Yeah.
Come on.
You gave years of your life just now to make the UFC look good.
Yeah.
All right.
Give him a highlight to play for years to come.
Yeah. Welterweight bout, Jacoby Smith, Nico Price, and Jacoby Smith did not deserve to be the largest betting favorite in UFC history. That did not make sense. But he still beat the brakes off of Nico Price.
Yeah.
Like, technically, he is not a deep fighter at all. Physically, he is an absolute wrecking machine.
He is a specimen.
Yeah.
He is an absolute specimen, and he knows it.
Yep.
And he is willing to just go full throttle. He got tired as a motherfucker in this fight, but it didn't matter.
No. When you're that strong and you're that fast, you can be as tired as you want. I mean, he's in Yoel Romero territory in pure physicality, where it's just like, this man is going to be terrifying no matter how tired he is.
Yeah. Man.
So
the way he started so hot. He went right after Price. I mean, and you could like see the fear on Price's face when he like punched his way back into the cage, and it's just like, holy shit, what is this? And credit to Price for
Yeah, he scrapped through it. He went out there. He was a dog in the fight, but he was getting his ass beat.
Yeah,
Smith is terrifying.
Yeah, man. I don't even know what to say about that.
I mean, if he can get his technical tools in line with his physical tools, because he chambers his punches well. He's got a really natural feel for ground and pound. Just, the footwork, the defensive positioning, all those his submission game, although he did get the rear naked choke here. And the moment he got the opportunity and actually saw it was just like, done.
Oh, very opportunistic. But no, I love the way he can throw that overhand.
Yeah.
And get himself into position for the takedown. Like that's a lost art amongst wrestlers.
Yeah.
In modern day MMA.
So it's just a question of, can his coaches keep him improving technically? Because his feel for fighting is only going to improve over time. There's no question about that. So it's just, keep working on footwork, keep working on defense, keep working on transition flow. Yeah. And if he can improve that stuff, I mean, he's a physical specimen, no question.
And just, controlling his aggression and knowing when to go and when not to go. When to sprint, when not to sprint.
He will, no matter what, he will very likely at least tip into the elite of the welterweight division, even if he doesn't stay there for long, even if he never improves at all, basically. But with improvement, I mean, it's hard not to imagine him being a contender at some point.
Yeah. Is he the best athlete at 170?
I mean, right now, yeah, he might be. Just in terms of pure speed and power.
Yeah.
You're looking at, if I'm looking at the top of that division,
Buckley's pretty athletic.
Yeah, Buckley's pretty athletic, but he's not like insanely fast. He's got great cardio and he's got strength and power, but he's not like, you don't see Buckley move out there and think, oh my God, how did he move that fast? Like the speed that Smith locked that choke up with,
Yeah.
that is crazy fast. You know? It's it's definitely, he's something special when it comes to actual just pure athletic ability. Yeah, I mean, Michael Morales would be like one of the other guys that I would say is really on that tier where Morales is, his technical game is shallow, but he's just, bulldozing his way up the division on pure size and power and speed and athletic gifts.
No, I'm happy he's here.
Yeah, no question. All right, on that note, finish up Janata Diniz, Alvin Hines, and despite it now being more than 3 months without a finish in a heavyweight fight for the UFC, this was one of the most entertaining heavyweight fights UFC's put on in a while.
I absolutely love this fight.
Yeah, they fucking
This was
scrapped.
phenomenal.
Alvin Hines brings big Pat Barry energy back to the UFC.
Nah, he's bringing like Dan Bobish energy. You gotta go back further.
The Bull.
This guy's a dog.
He is.
I didn't know what to expect when he showed up, like out of him,
Yeah.
But he rose to the occasion. He came forward. He didn't peter out, and he just kept coming and kept trying. He was completely outclassed on the feet, but he didn't give a fuck.
No.
He's like, I'm fighting you.
He came out to win, and he came out with a lot of volume and a lot of pressure, and he didn't have the technique that Diniz did, but he still just came out like, look, I'm going to try to win this damn fight. I love to see it.
He won over a fan.
Oh, yeah. Everybody in the live chat when we were watching, everybody's like, man, I don't care about Diniz, but Hines, I will watch him fight again.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see
I don't
him
even
fight.
care if he wins or loses. Like, just watching him fight. Like, I dig his moxie.
He's out there in round 3 throwing up head kicks, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the man is out there to scrap. And don't worry, folks, it was just armed robbery, not murder. They were really shy about what his past conviction was that had him in prison for 14 years.
Yeah. It was
armed. Yeah.
Why does he need to be armed? This man?
Yeah.
He could just roll up with his fist robbing people.
Exactly.
Damn, good on him though for changing his life around.
Yeah, no, look, MMA is full of guys with rap sheets, and I am out here. I want to advocate for the restorative potential of the justice system, and if he's turned his life around and is in a better place and doing better things, he served his time. He should get the opportunity,
Why did Dumas get kicked off this card?
Couldn't get his ankle monitor off. Literally, that is it. He could not get his ankle monitor taken off in time to fight. Plus, the judge was not comfortable with him being out of state after, with an ankle monitor so recently put on him, an arrest so recent. So.
It's gold.
Yeah. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. I don't think we're going to do bonus tonight. We had so much to talk about already, and we're just going to be like 5s all the way down, pretty much. This is
for the most part.
Yeah, maybe Cortez gets Araujo gets a 2 or a 3, maybe.
Yeah, everything can get a 5 as far as I'm concerned.
And maybe I can't even maybe Darius Moicano gets like a 4.5 or something. I don't know.
Right. Maybe a 4, yeah. But no, this is a great, awesome card.
It's a 5-star event from the UFC.
Yeah.
This is if this is the card of the year, that's fine. This is not a bad card to be card of the year. You
It
know,
shouldn't be card of the year. I'm gonna just say that. Like it shouldn't be.
fair. It shouldn't be.
You can't
But
have the best card of the year halfway through. They better
but
bring.
I mean, International Fight Week used to be the best card of the year. That used to be the whole idea.
Yeah,
So if this is a worthwhile card of the year. Like we talked about the what was it, the last pay-per-view, I think it was UFC 316, Dvalishvili O'Malley. We're like, yeah, this is a good fun pay-per-view, but this should not be the pay-per-view of the year. Or maybe it was Madalena Muhammad or something. And it's just like, these are fine. These have been pretty quality pay-per-view events, but they're not good enough for that. This card was top to bottom a shitload of fun.
no, every fight pretty much delivered.
Yep.
I wish this was the norm.
Yeah, right? I mean, well, it's always the thing, isn't it? That, like, every time the UFC really does a great job, then you have to compare that to the cards where they don't. And you're just like, I know how hard you can try.
Yeah.
Like, you showed me what you're capable of doing. Don't hand me another Apex fight night and expect me to be excited about that shit.
Yeah. Oh.
So.
No, it's sad. It's definitely sad.
Which is why we're turning around to Nashville for Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's the main event?
That's the main event. Yeah.
Yeah, I might skip that one.
All right. Remember, you can subscribe, help us out. Link in the bottom right there for a Substack. Help keep the show going. Thank you all for tuning in. You can find me on Twitter at Zane Simon. You can find Eddie on Twitter at Eddie Mercado. You can find me on Blue Sky and on Substack at Zane Simon. You can find Eddie everywhere at Eddie Mercado. So find us, hit us up, whatever. And subscribe, though. That's the real thing. I don't care if you like the video. I don't care if you comment on the video. Subscribe to the Substack. That's what helps us out. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time. Adios.